There's my plane. Can't go back now anymore. Here you see the escalator. And you can step on and bring straight to the plane.
Yeah, that's right.
Attentie alsjeblieft, passagiers voor KLM-vlucht 3130 Zurich, zo spoedig mogelijk naar uitgaansgate. With the KLM vlucht 3130 naar Zurich, de vlucht op omhooggaan D420.
We can show you there.
Airlines International Flight Gate, Edmonton and Vancouver. Please go into the workout after the tour of the international is not after. We'll let you in that channel.
Boarding time.
Nou, streep eerst maar gewoon en dan splitsen we ze straks al.
Oh, you are recording. Okay, over on the left here is the weather radar. Right now the antenna is tilted down, so this pattern you see on here is really reflection off the ground rather than weather ahead. There is no weather ahead, so if I was to tilt the antenna up, that pattern will basically disappear. Oh, up in the front here with the flight instruments on this side and on that side are basically identical, so they'll be flown from either seat. And it's your basic thing, like what you used to call the artificial horizon, which looked more like that years ago. The altimeter is showing 31,000 feet today. And this would be, in past, what we used to fly on like the compass. It does a lot more functions nowadays than that. The engine instruments are down in the center. And the throttles are on here. The reversing throttles are down below, so when we're on the ground, we'll pull the throttles off and use that for reversing. Speed brakes, which come up on the top of the wing to spoil the lift and add drag in descent, and also in landing, are here. This is the flap selector, which can select all the way up to 50 degrees of flap, which is on the trailing end of the wing. And most of our prime navigation is controlled up on this panel up here, which sets in our navigation radios and courses and our headings, controlling our speeds, especially when autopilot. Right now we're on autopilot. We have two of them, and we can select one, and in the case of an automatic landing we could select both of these on. Basically down below are radio panels. And the heart of our navigation these days are the inertial navigation systems, which there's one here, one on either side. And they'll tell us all our basic navigation data, such as you can see our latitude and longitude. And here we're at 71:43.3 minutes north. That's not changing very much because we're pretty well at the most northerly point. But going west, you can see that our westerly figures are getting larger as we do go west. Similarly, we can pick up things like our wind at any time, instantaneously. Here's our wind, 162 degrees true, which is a little bit east of south at 47 knots, which is more like 60 miles an hour. This is what we program our flight plan, which is printed out from computer-based winds, and all of our points on our flight plan we introduce into the computer, partly on the ground and partly in the air as we're flying along. So that would be what these waypoints are here, showing us basically right now we're flying from point 1 to 2, and if I want to look at it, point 1 is this position, flying to 70 north, 50 west, and next position after that, 71 north, 60 west, and you can see from there on. And the rest up ahead are basic warning, caution lights, and so on, anti-ice systems, basically controllers. Not too much on the upper panel is used that much. While we're in flight, it's preset on the ground. On the right hand side over here is the second officer's panel, which has all of the systems on it. And if you'd like to point out some of those things over there, Wayne.
So I'll start in the left-hand corner. This is your pressurization system here. There are 3 modes of pressurization. You have a manual, you have an auto, and you have a standby mode. Moving up here, there's your hydraulic systems. You have 3 separate hydraulic systems, and they're both, each hydraulic system is driven by 2 engine-driven hydraulic pumps. And moving up the panel here, you've got your electrical system. You've got 3 separate electrical systems, but they do operate in parallel, which is what we normally operate them in. And driven by each engine has an engine-driven generator, which produces the current for each system. And then moving up farther on the panel is your APU control here, which is an auxiliary power unit. It's used to power the airplane on the ground when you don't have external power, or you can also use it in flight. And then coming down here, you have your fuel system, and you have 3 main tanks, and you have an aux tank in this airplane. On some of the aircraft, the extended range aircraft, you also have an aft aux tank. And so this tank holds about 40,000 pounds, this one holds about 65,000 pounds, this one holds about 40,000 pounds, and this one holds about 100,000 pounds of fuel. And then you have your tank pumps to feed pressure in, pump the fuel into the engines across here. And you have your pressure indication, and you have your fuel used readouts. This is our total weight here for the aircraft right now is 405,000 pounds. And moving up the panel here, you've got your pneumatic, all your pressurization and pneumatic systems. You have air coming off the engines from each engine, coming up and driving an air conditioning pack. And the air conditioning packs are what provide pressurization and heating and cooling in the airplane. And then you have your temperature controls throughout the airplane, your cockpit, and you have 3 controls throughout the cabin, forward, center, and aft. And then you have your cargo temperature control, forward cargo and aft cargo. And then you have your fire detection for your cargo compartment. You have a forward and aft cargo detection and agents for putting out the fire if there is fire. And then coming down here, that's your engine fire detection system. And here's the other than your manual, here's the automatic and standby control for your pressurization. Right now the cabin altitude is at about 4,000 feet with an 8.5 differential, and we're cruising altitude is 31,000 feet. And then we have our standard engine parameters back here. nacelle temperatures, oil quantities, oil temperatures, and oil pressures. Here's our brake temperature system up here. These are landing gear indicating lights. They're up now, so of course they're off, but when they're down, they're green. And then you have your water quantity and indication. These are all circuit breaker panels here, and up top over there.
That's very interesting. Thank you very much. Okay, we're leaving Edmonton now, and we're going to our takeoff point. die andere kant.
Any trains at the lower level where ground transportation to downtown Vancouver will be available. On behalf of Captain Burton, especially the flight crew, it's been a pleasure to have you aboard, and thank you for having chosen Canadian Airlines International as your means of transportation. We hope that our services have contributed to a pleasant journey, and that we will have the pleasure of serving you again real soon. Airlines International zal aanwezig zijn bij uw aankomst om uw informatie te verstrekken voor doorverbindende vluchten. Transportatie naar Vancouver is beschikbaar op het lagere gedeelte van het vliegveld, tevens hetzelfde gedeelte waar u bagage kunt rollen aan vluchthaven. We willen gebeten aan op je zorgen niet van boord te nemen. In een paspoort, het zonnebril meneer om eruit te halen voor inspectie voor de autoriteit. We hopen dat u een zeer aangename vlucht met ons gehad hebt. Dank u dat u Canadian Airlines International geladen hebben. En we hopen die weer band aan boord en voor onze zorgen te benutten. Vielen Dank.